Another mass shooting in Khayelitsha. 6 people were gunned down last night. Police say gang violence and turf wars can't be ruled out. More than 12 people have died in mass shootings in Khayelitsha since March. Lindsay Dentlinger is following that story for us. She joins us now live. So, Lindsay, what are police saying about the possible motive here?
Well, Shahan, all the details are rather sketchy as to what may have led to this, but it appears that there's no link between the shooting late last night and the previous ones we saw on the 21st of March and one earlier this year, also where several people were killed in one go. But the police saying they are looking at all avenues. They cannot rule out that it doesn't involve some type of gang-related activity, but what was evident, they say, was that it doesn't appear that these men who were shot down in the street were related in any way, or that they were moving together. Our understanding also from talking to eyewitnesses around that scene is that people were just going about their business, going to a local spaza shop. One man still lying in the road with a loaf of bread that he had bought. Another was on his way to go buy a candle for lighting, and so it doesn't appear that those who were killed were gathered in any way together, and that they might have been a single target. So really very little known about what was behind all of this, but the police commissioner saying that they are looking at all kinds of avenues, including whether it might be related to gangsterism in the area. But here he is speaking to the press earlier today.
We cannot rule out extortion. We cannot rule out gang violence, and in this particular the township gangs of Khayelitsha. We cannot rule out, because there's always a relationship between the gang violence, the taxi violence, the extortions, and the theft and the drugs. That's then we've got to move from that point to eliminate to which one at the end, once we find suspect, to say what was the motive for this one. But of particular in concern that we've discovered is you look at the people that the deceased, the people, the victims, and then you will see a certain pattern, and then you start looking at in that association, and then we see that one as may have been an innocent person, but you look at everything. So by the way where we were and the type of the scene and the ammunition that has been used is quite substantial.
So were there actually any eyewitnesses, and what's the community saying, Lindsay?
So as you can imagine, Shahan, most people are very afraid to speak to us about what went down there last night. But it also appears that very few people were actually eyewitnesses to what happened. It appears that those who were shot were really those who were on the street at the time. One man apparently washing his car, as I mentioned, going to the shop to buy bread, another to buy a candle. Another woman said that one of the men who had shot has no relatives in the area. She showed us his birth certificate. She was a neighbor, and she said she had his documents for safekeeping. She told us how when he was shot, he tried to run away, but obviously his injuries led him to lie in an alley where he had to wait for an ambulance, but then died on the scene. 5 people died immediately on the scene, and we also spoke to a sister of one of the victims who said that when her brother had been shot, he also tried to flee, and that it was terribly hard to look at him suffering from his gunshot wound, that the ambulance was simply taking too long to get to him, and so they did try to transport him themselves to hospital, but he became the 6th victim then to die, or at least be declared dead by the time they got to hospital. Here's her account of what happened last night.
My brother came in last night just to check us, then he went back to his house, but he just passed there by the shop and buy candles. Then he go. Then we had some gun shooting. Then everyone closed the door. Everyone was running. After that, we heard that he is there behind the sheds. He was running, trying to hide himself. Yes. Then after that, one of the ladies here in the community came and tell us our brother is there, is crying, is asking for help. Then we, as a family, call our big brother to come and fetch him because there was no ambulance and the police were there at the time. After that, the police they say we must wait for an ambulance, but we couldn't wait for ambulance because he was in pain. And then even for us, we didn't manage to look at him the time he was suffering from the pain. Then after that, my brother came and then he took him to hospital. Then they said he was already passed away.
Okay, I have to leave it right there. Our reporter Lindsay Dentlinger is in Cape Town.